Hello again, and welcome back to week 2. So this week, we will be learning how to take what you've underlined and try to pull out, extract from it, the key points. So what is the author's point with all of this? And this will make all of your jobs easier. And hopefully, even those of you who reread will find it's a much faster reread and you remember it already. So let's get to it. So here we are. As you recall from chapter 2, we had all these options, and many of you said you like to reread and write, but I wasn't sure which of these three you were talking about when you said writing. So hopefully what I'm about to show you will shorten your time spent reading and writing. As we have seen, the underlining can pretty much take over where the outline leaves off if we add notes. So here's how to add notes quickly and easily. First, I want you to think about organizing your notes so that here's the piece I did before. Decide which side you're going to put summary notes and which side you'll do response kind of things, questions, comments. I've kind of trained myself to keep all of my notes about what the author is saying on the left-hand side, and then I can do the notes on my questions, my comments, whatever I connect to on the right-hand side. So if you just put me on pause for a moment and jot down, just reading what I have underlined, what do you think are the points the author's making? And you write those in the left-hand side. When you're done, just turn me back on. Okay, you've turned me back on. So now I'm going to show you what the difference is between a summary and finding the key point. So summary notes are like, well, if this was literature, they would be the plot points, what actually happens. Whereas the key points are what is the point, what is the meaning about what happened. So if you wrote, for instance, ate junk, increased weight or gained weight, you are writing what happened. And then if you said went to gym, saw 4 groups of workouts, something like that. You're doing more summary note than trying to ascertain the key point. You could still be responding. I think I told you guys we had the Bursley, that was the name of my dorm, 15, or the COVID 15 I've heard recently, of weight that is gained because of a certain circumstance. And then maybe you know somebody, like I had a student who competed. That's what he did, and he got money for it. And so you can connect on the right-hand side. So how do you know when you're getting the key point or when you're getting a plot point? Well, to figure that out, we have to figure out how do we write. You know how we write. Typically, an essay will have an introduction, then you have what you call your body, and then you have a conclusion. And lucky for us, most writers follow this format. What if I told you that even paragraphs are constructed that way? So this thing we call a topic sentence is like the introduction of an essay. This is like a mini essay, except instead of a whole paragraph for an introduction telling us what the topic's going to be, we'll have 1 or 2 sentences at the beginning And just like a conclusion of an essay will bring home your bigger point, so too does the conclusion of your each paragraph. So this is your point about the topic that you introduced. And that is why we call them topic sentence and concluding sentence. So if we know that, then we know exactly where to find the key point, because what's in the middle is all the details of what happened. But what's at the beginning and end will tell us the key point. So now let's take a look at what we had before and see if it holds up to what I just told you. So the 8 junk part, does that happen in the first? Well, it kind of does in the second one. The only thing we get in the first one is that she went to college. So 8 junk gained weight. And then what is her point about gaining weight? Well, it's one of the reasons, and there are 4 reasons why we go to the gym. So I'm going to erase the went to gym because what's really important is she saw 4 groups of workout. I'm going to rewrite that as 4 reasons. Or reasons to work out. Now I have the point. So let us go to the next part. Here's your practice piece. And I want you to underline it the way we did before, and then try to write what you think is the key point. Now, where do you look for that? Well, you look at the beginning and at the end of the paragraph. So this is the second paragraph to the internet bullying that you turned in last week. Put me on pause, and when we come back, I will show you what I would do so you can check to see how you're doing with your underlining and key points. Okay, I think you're ready. So, bullying research affirmed bullying result of unequal power dynamic. Or, I think I like the second part better. Or strong attacking weak. It can happen in different ways through physical violence, verbal abuse, or in the management of relationships. Okay, those are examples. It is usually prolonged. Okay, prolonged. All right, I'm going to get 1, 2, and 3. Prolonged is 4. Widespread is 5. Repeat offenders is interesting. Multiple victims. Longitudinal work shows that bullies and victims can switch places. There's an entire category of bully victims. People are victims in one set of circumstances and perpetrators in another. Finally, emerging research demonstrates that bullying follows us through life. So this is number 5. Oh, 6. Fix that. workplace and professional bullying is just as common as childhood bullying. Wow, that's a surprise. So I'm going to underline that. Often it's just less obvious. At work, one hopes people don't steal your bicycle or give you a wedgie. So this is, in fact, the thesis. All right, so what would I write as my key point? This part we already knew, right? The 3 types, prolonged, it has affirmed much of what we already know. This is what we already know. Finally, emerging research indicates that adult bully. This is the new thing. Okay, so that's what I would write for my key point, the main thing that she is going to talk about in the essay. Now, even though that may be true of this paragraph, the key point, that is the surprising point, it doesn't mean that's her overall point. So we'll talk about that later.